I will never forget the sound of my husband's voice coming through my sister's window. It was soft, warm, the same voice he used when I had a bad day and needed comfort. The same voice that once made me feel safe. But that night, I was not the one he was speaking to. I was standing outside my sister Olivia's house, half hidden beside the living room window. My heart was beating so loudly, I was scared they would hear it through the wall. My hands felt cold, even though the evening air was warm. Michael's car was parked right in front of the gate. He told me he would be working late. I wasn't supposed to be there. I hadn't planned anything. I had just been driving home when I passed Olivia's street. I thought, why not surprise her? I even had a small bag of her favorite cookies on the seat beside me. Now that bag was still in my car, forgotten. Before we continue, please comment where you are watching from and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting revenge stories. Because instead of knocking on the door like a normal person, I was frozen beside her window, listening to a conversation I was never meant to hear. At first, I didn't understand what was happening. I only knew one thing for sure: my husband was inside my sister's house and he had not told me. I tried to calm myself. Maybe he came to help her fix something, I thought. Maybe his phone died and he couldn't call me. I wanted to believe that. I really did. Then I heard Olivia speak. Her voice was low and shaky, like she had been crying. "We can't keep doing this behind her back," she said. My whole body went still. Behind her back? Behind whose back? I knew the answer before my mind allowed me to think it. There was a short silence inside. I imagined them standing close to each other, maybe sitting on the couch, maybe holding hands. Then Michael sighed. I knew that sigh. He used it when he felt stressed. "I know," he said quietly. "I know, but I don't know how to stop." My chest felt tight. I pressed my hand against my mouth so I wouldn't make a sound. Stop what? My thoughts started racing. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe they were talking about something serious that had nothing to do with love. But deep down, a heavy feeling was growing inside me. A feeling I didn't want to name. Olivia spoke again. "She trusts us. Every time she talks about you, she smiles. I feel terrible." My knees felt weak. They were talking about me. Not in a happy way. Not in a joking way. In a guilty way. I leaned a little closer to the window, moving slowly so my shoes wouldn't make noise on the ground. The curtain was not fully closed. I could see the edge of the couch, the lamp, the corner of the table. I couldn't see them clearly, but I could hear every word. Michael's voice came again, softer now. I never meant for it to happen like this. Like what? My head felt light, like I might faint. My husband and my sister were inside a house together, talking about me like I wasn't part of their lives anymore. Olivia sniffed, like she was wiping tears. "We said it was just going to be once. We said it wouldn't mean anything." My heart dropped so hard it felt like it hit the ground. Once. Wouldn't mean anything. The words echoed in my mind again and again. I grabbed the wall beside me to stay standing. The paint felt rough under my fingers. This was not a mistake. This was not a simple visit. This was not something new. This was something they had already done before. I felt like I was outside my own body, watching someone else's life fall apart. Michael spoke again, and his voice broke a little. "I tried to stay away. I really did. But every time I see you, I—" He stopped talking. I didn't need to hear the rest. I closed my eyes, but that only made everything worse. I could see memories in my head: family dinners, holidays, birthdays, Olivia laughing beside me, Michael holding my hand under the table. Were they already keeping secrets back then? Had they looked at each other across the room while I was smiling, not knowing anything? I opened my eyes again, breathing fast. "Inside the house," Olivia said. "She's my sister. I feel like the worst person in the world." Michael answered quietly. "You're not. I'm the one who should have been stronger." Stronger. So this was something they wanted, but were trying to fight. That hurt even more. If it had been an accident, maybe I could have understood. Maybe I could have forgiven one moment of weakness. But this sounded like feelings, like something growing. My eyes filled with tears, and one rolled down my cheek. I wiped it away quickly. I didn't want to make any noise. I had always believed my home was safe. My marriage was safe. My family was safe. Now, standing in the dark outside that window, I felt like a stranger looking into someone else's life, a life where I didn't belong the way I thought I did. Inside, I heard movement, like someone shifting on the couch. Olivia's voice came again, very small. "We have to tell her someday." "Tell me what?" Michael didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was heavy. I know. That one word broke something inside me. They were not confused. They were not joking. They were not talking about something small. They were talking about a secret big enough to destroy me. I stepped back from the window slowly, my legs shaking. The night air suddenly felt colder. The house that once felt welcoming now felt like a place I didn't recognize. I looked at the door, only a few steps away. Inside were the two people I trusted most in the world, and they were hiding something that could change my life forever. Before that night outside Olivia's window, I thought my life was simple and happy. If someone had asked me to describe my marriage, I would have smiled first before answering. That was how sure I was. Michael was not just my husband, he was my best friend. We talked about everything. Or at least, I thought we did. Olivia was not just my sister, she was my other half growing up. When we were kids, people used to joke that we moved like one person with two bodies. We shared clothes, secrets, and late-night whispers under blankets when the lights were off. I trusted both of them with my whole heart. That is why the signs didn't look like warning signs at first. They looked small, normal, easy to explain. It started with Michael's phone. He used to leave it anywhere on the table, on the couch, even in the kitchen while he showered. But one day I noticed he started keeping it in his pocket more. If a message came in, he would glance at it and smile quickly before turning the screen away. I teased him once. "Who keeps making you grin like that?" He laughed. "Work group chat. Those guys are crazy." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Olivia also started changing, but in a quieter way. She used to call me almost every evening just to talk about random things her customers, funny stories, neighborhood gossip. Then the calls became shorter. Then they became fewer. Whenever I asked if she was okay, she would say, "I'm just tired. Business is stressful." I felt bad for even asking. I told myself she just needed space. One Sunday afternoon, Michael told me he was going to help Olivia fix a shelf in her living room. "Her tools are terrible," he said, smiling. "If I don't go, that shelf will fall on someone's head." I laughed. "Go save her before the shelf attacks." He kissed my forehead and left. At the time, I felt proud. Proud that my husband and my sister got along so well. Proud that my family was close. Now, thinking back, I remember something else. That day, he took extra time choosing what shirt to wear. I didn't notice it then. Now it hurts to remember. There was another moment at a family dinner. We were all sitting at the table. Me, Michael, Olivia, and a few cousins. I went to the kitchen to bring more drinks. When I came back, they were both quiet. Too quiet. I joked. "What did I miss? Secret meeting?" They both laughed quickly. "Nothing," Olivia said. "Just talking about that movie you don't like," Michael added. I rolled my eyes and sat down. I didn't see the way they avoided looking at each other after that. Or maybe I saw it and chose not to understand it. I trusted them too much. There was also the night Michael came home late, smelling like Olivia's favorite perfume. I only noticed because I once borrowed it from her. "Why do you smell sweet?" I asked playfully. He looked surprised, then chuckled. "Probably from the office. One of the ladies there uses too much perfume." I made a face. "Tell her to relax before everyone faints." We both laughed. But now, that memory feels heavy. I wonder if he went straight from her house to ours that night. The hardest part is remembering how happy I was during those days. I would talk about Michael with my friends and say, "I'm lucky. He is so kind. I would tell people how proud I was of Olivia for growing her business. I even told someone once, my husband and my sister are like best friends. I love that. I meant it. There were tiny moments when something felt strange. A look that lasted too long. A pause in conversation when I entered a room. A message Michael would answer while turning slightly away. Each time, a small voice inside me would whisper, ask questions. But a louder voice would say, don't be silly. These are your people. So I stayed quiet. I chose trust over doubt. Love over suspicion. One evening, Olivia came over to my house. She seemed nervous, dropping her bag twice and forgetting what she wanted to say. Are you sure you're okay? I asked. She forced a smile. Yes. I'm just tired. I need a vacation. Michael came into the room and asked if she wanted tea. Their eyes met for a second, just 1 second, but something passed between them. Something I didn't understand then. Now I do. I remember watching them and feeling left out. Not in a big way, just a small feeling, like I walked into a conversation that had already started. I brushed it away. That was my mistake. I believed that love meant nothing bad could grow in the middle of family. I believed betrayal only happened in movies and stories online, not in homes like mine, not between people who shared meals and memories. If I had paid attention, maybe that night outside the window would not have shocked me so much. But I didn't. I kept smiling. I kept trusting. I kept loving them both with an open heart. And while I was doing that, something was quietly growing behind my back. That day started like any other normal day. Nothing felt strange in the morning. Nothing warned me that my life was quietly moving toward a moment I would never forget. I woke up early, made breakfast, and waved goodbye to Michael as he left for work. He kissed my cheek like always and told me not to stress too much about errands. Call me if you need anything, he said with a smile. I smiled back. I will. I believed that smile. I believed everything. Later that afternoon, I went to the market to buy a few things for the house. Tomatoes, rice, soap, and some fruit. I walked slowly from stall to stall, greeting people I knew. It was one of those calm days where nothing special happens. I remember thinking how peaceful my life felt. If only I had known. After I finished shopping, I put the bags in the back seat of my car and started driving home. The sun was beginning to lower in the sky, turning the clouds soft orange. The road was not too busy. Music played quietly on the radio. I was thinking about dinner. Maybe I would make jollof rice. Maybe Michael would be tired, and I would surprise him with his favorite meal. As I turned at the next junction, I realized I was close to Olivia's street. I had not planned to visit her. But suddenly, I felt a strong urge to stop by. It was not a loud thought, just a gentle feeling in my chest. I haven't seen her in a few days, I told myself. Let me surprise her. I even smiled, imagining her excited face when she saw me at the door. So I turned the wheel and drove toward her house. On the way, I passed a small shop that sold snacks she liked. Without thinking much, I stopped the car and went inside. I bought her favorite cookies and a bottle of juice. She will be happy, I said softly to myself as I got back into the car. I had no idea how wrong I was. When I reached her street, everything looked normal. Children were playing farther down the road. A dog barked somewhere behind a fence. The air smelled like someone was cooking fried plantain nearby. I slowed down as I got closer to her house. That was when I saw the car. At first, my brain did not react. I just looked at it the way you look at any parked car. Then my eyes moved over the shape, the color, the small scratch near the back door. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. It looked exactly like Michael's car. My heart gave a strange jump, like when you almost trip while walking. I drove a little closer. The number plate matched. It was his car. I blinked, hoping I was mistaken. Maybe someone else bought the same model. Maybe it only looked similar from far away. But no, I knew that car the way you know your own reflection. I parked a few houses away, my mind already trying to explain it. Maybe he came to help Olivia with something, I thought quickly. Maybe he finished work early and forgot to tell me. Yes, that made sense. He had helped her before. It was not strange for family to help each other. Still, a small, heavy feeling began to grow inside my stomach. I turned off the engine but stayed seated for a moment. My hands rested on the steering wheel, and I stared ahead. Why hadn't he called me? Why hadn't Olivia mentioned he was coming? I picked up the bag of cookies from the passenger seat. My fingers felt stiff. I told myself I was overthinking. Stop it, I whispered. You're being silly. I stepped out of the car and closed the door quietly. The evening air felt warmer than before, or maybe it was just my body heating up from nervousness. I started walking toward Olivia's gate, each step slow. Her curtains were partly closed. The house looked calm from outside. No loud music, no laughter, no TV sound. That was strange. Olivia loved playing music in the evening while she cooked. Her house was usually full of sound. I reached the gate and gently pushed it open. It made a small creaking noise that sounded louder than usual. I paused, listening. Nothing changed inside. I walked up the short path to her front door. My heart was beating faster now, not because I knew something was wrong, but because I felt something was different. I raised my hand to knock. Then I stopped. I could hear voices. Very soft. I couldn't make out the words yet. Just the low sound of two people talking inside. I smiled nervously. See? I told myself. He really is just visiting. You almost scared yourself for nothing. But then another thought came. If they were both inside, why was the house so quiet? Why did the voices sound serious? I lowered my hand from the door and stepped slightly to the side, toward the living room window. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I just wanted to see if they were sitting inside before knocking. The closer I got to the window, the louder my heartbeat sounded in my ears. I told myself I would just peek quickly and then knock like normal. I moved slowly, trying not to let my sandals make noise on the ground. I could feel the cookies bag shaking a little in my hand. When I reached the side of the window, I stopped. The curtain was not fully closed. There was a small space where light spilled out. I could hear their voices more clearly now, though I still couldn't understand the words. Michael's voice. Olivia's voice. Together, something inside me tightened. Not pain. Not yet. Just a deep, heavy pressure in my chest. I stood there, frozen, telling myself to move, to knock, to laugh, and walk in like everything was normal. But my feet would not move. My mind began replaying small memories, the quiet dinner, the secret smiles, the times they both acted strange at the same time. I shook my head, trying to push those thoughts away. No, I whispered. Don't start imagining things. Still, I did not knock. Instead, I slowly leaned a little closer to the window. The voices inside dropped even lower, like they did not want to be heard. A chill ran through my body, even though the air was warm. I suddenly felt like I was standing at the edge of something I could never step back from. Like once I truly listened, once I truly understood, life would never be the same. Behind me, a car drove past on the street. The normal sound of tires on the road felt far away, like I was underwater. I looked down at the cookies in my hand. They felt foolish now, like something from a different world. A world where sisters surprised each other for no reason and husbands worked late without secrets. I swallowed hard. Part of me wanted to turn around, go back to my car, and drive home. I could pretend I never came. I could wait for Michael to return and never know what he had been doing. But another part of me, a quiet, braver part, needed to know the truth. Even if it hurt, I took one slow step closer to the window. My breathing was shallow now. I could hear every small sound inside the house, the soft hum of a fan, the creak of furniture, the murmur of their voices. I stood beside the wall, hidden from view. In that moment, I was not a wife, not a sister, not a cheerful woman bringing snacks for a visit. I was just someone standing outside her own life, about to see it from the outside for the first time. My fingers tightened around the cookie bag until it crinkled loudly in my hand. I froze, afraid they had heard, but the voices inside continued. I slowly placed the bag down on the ground beside the wall. My heart felt like a drum in my chest. I closed my eyes for 1 second, took a small breath, and leaned slightly toward the open space in the curtain. I was close enough now to hear clearly, and deep down, even before the words reached my ears, I knew this quiet visit had already changed everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family. I stood beside the window, barely breathing. The small gap in the curtain felt like the edge of a cliff. On one side was the life I thought I had. On the other side was the truth, waiting for me to hear it. Inside, the room was lit by a soft yellow lamp. I could see part of the couch and the edge of the table. I still couldn't see their faces clearly, but I didn't need to. Their voices were enough. Olivia spoke first, her voice thick like she had been crying for a long time. "This is wrong," she said. "Every time I see her, I feel like I'm lying just by smiling." My chest tightened so much it hurt. "They were talking about me again," Michael answered quietly, like he was afraid of his own words. "I know it's wrong. I tell myself that every day. Every day." That meant this had not just happened once. It had been going on long enough for guilt to become normal. I pressed my hand against the wall to steady myself. The paint felt cool under my palm. Olivia sniffed. "Then why does it feel so hard to walk away?" There was a long silence after that. I could almost hear the air between them. When Michael spoke again, his voice sounded closer, softer. "Because when I'm with you, everything feels easy, calm, like I can breathe." My heart felt like it cracked open. That was what he used to say about being with me. I remembered nights when we would sit together after dinner, just talking about nothing. He once told me, "You make my life feel peaceful." Now he was giving those same words to my sister. Olivia let out a shaky breath. "I never wanted to hurt her." "Neither did I," Michael said quickly. "I didn't plan for this to happen. Didn't plan. But they didn't stop either. I felt tears sliding down my face, but I didn't move to wipe them away. I was too busy trying to stay standing. Inside, I heard the couch shift, like someone moved closer to the other person. Olivia spoke again, softer now. "Do you remember the first time?" My whole body went cold. Michael answered in a low voice. "I try not to think about it, but yes." A heavy silence filled the room. I could almost see them looking at each other, sharing a memory I was never meant to know. Olivia gave a small, sad laugh. "It was after that family barbecue. She left early because she had a headache." That day, I remembered that day clearly. I had not been feeling well and went home to rest. I even told Michael to stay and enjoy himself with everyone. I had trusted him. Michael sighed. "You were crying in the kitchen. I just wanted to comfort you." Comfort. That word felt sharp. Olivia's voice trembled. "I was lonely. You were kind. One moment turned into something else." One moment. So that was how they explained it to themselves. A mistake that kept happening again and again. Michael spoke again, pain in his voice. "After that, I told myself it would never happen again. But every time I came over to help you, every time we talked alone, the feelings were still there. Feelings. Not just a secret meeting. Not just a single bad choice. Feelings. I felt like the world had tilted sideways. My husband was in love with my sister." Inside the house, Olivia started crying again. Louder this time. "I hate myself," she said. "She trusts me with everything. I'm her big sister's little shadow. I'm supposed to protect her, not break her heart." Her words made fresh tears fall from my eyes. Even now, she called me her sister. Even now, she knew this would destroy me. And still, they were together. Michael's voice dropped to a whisper. "We should have told her the truth months ago." Months. My breath caught in my throat. This had been going on for months while I smiled at both of them, cooked for them, laughed with them. Olivia sniffed. And say what? Sorry, we fell in love behind your back? Love. There it was. The word I had been afraid to hear. Michael didn't argue. That silence told me everything. They were not just confused. They were not just guilty. They believed what they felt was real. I covered my mouth with my hand to stop a sound from escaping. A small sob tried to break out, but I swallowed it down. Inside, I heard movement again. Fabric shifting. A soft sound like someone being pulled into a hug. I didn't need to see it to know. Michael spoke gently. I never wanted to choose between you two. My heart pounded painfully. Choose? So he was thinking about a future where one of us would lose him. Olivia's voice came from closer now, like she was speaking into his chest. You might not have a choice for much longer. She's not blind. She's noticed things. I froze. Had I? I thought about the small doubts, the strange looks, the quiet moments I pushed away. Michael let out a long breath. I hate hurting her. Every time she smiles at me, I feel like the worst person alive. Then why keep doing it? I wanted to scream, but I stayed silent outside that window, shaking. Olivia spoke softly. Maybe we should end it. My heart jumped, but not with hope. It was too late for hope. Michael didn't answer right away. The silence stretched so long it felt like a rope pulling tighter around my chest. Finally, he said, I've tried. I stay away for a few days and I tell myself it's over. Then I miss you, and I find an excuse to come here. So every visit had been planned. Every helpful favor had been a lie with a sweet face. Olivia whispered, We're going to destroy our family. Michael's reply was quiet and full of fear. Maybe we already have. Those words landed inside me like a stone dropping into deep water. Yes, I thought. You already have. I looked down at my hands. They were trembling so badly I had to press them against the wall to keep them still. Inside, Olivia spoke again. What are we going to do? Michael answered in a tired voice. I don't know, but we can't keep pretending nothing is happening. I stepped back from the window slowly. My legs felt weak, like they didn't belong to me anymore. The world around me seemed too quiet, too normal for what I had just heard. Birds chirped in a nearby tree. A car passed at the end of the street. Somewhere, someone laughed. How could the world keep moving when mine had just fallen apart? I looked at the door of the house. Inside were the two people I loved most, the man I married and the sister I grew up with. They were holding each other while talking about how much they were hurting me. A strange calm started to settle over me. Not peace, not forgiveness, just the kind of calm that comes after a big storm breaks something inside you. I wiped my face with the back of my hand. My cheeks were wet, but my tears were slowing down. I felt empty, not angry yet, not ready to shout, just empty and tired. I took another slow step back from the window, careful not to make noise. I didn't want them to know I had been there. Not yet. I needed a moment to breathe. A moment to stand somewhere that was not filled with their voices and their shared secrets. The house that once felt warm and welcoming now felt like a place built on lies. And I, standing outside in the fading evening light, finally understood that the life I thought I had already changed long before I heard those words. I don't remember walking back to the car. One second I was standing beside the window, listening to the pieces of my life break apart inside that house. And the next, I was sitting in the driver's seat, staring straight ahead like someone else had brought me there. The cookie bag was still on the ground near the wall. I left it behind. My hands rested on the steering wheel, but I wasn't ready to drive. My fingers felt numb, like they didn't belong to me. The evening sky had grown darker, and the streetlights were starting to flicker on one by one. Everything outside looked normal. Everything inside me felt ruined. I tried to take a deep breath, but it came out shaky. My chest felt tight, like there wasn't enough air in the world. Michael loves my sister. My sister loves my husband. The words repeated in my head over and over, but they still didn't feel real. I thought about all the times I had defended them in my mind. When my friend once joked, "I hope your husband doesn't run off with your sister, they get along too well," I had laughed and said, "Never, not them." Now that memory made my stomach twist. I leaned my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. I saw Olivia as a little girl, running behind me, always wanting to copy what I did. I used to hold her hand when we crossed the street. I used to braid her hair before school. I saw Michael on our wedding day, smiling at me like I was the only person in the world. He had promised to protect my heart. Now both of them had broken it together. A small sob escaped my throat before I could stop it. I covered my mouth quickly, even though no one could hear me inside the car. "How did we get here?" I whispered to myself. I thought about the signs I had ignored, the late nights, the quiet looks, the strange silences when I entered a room. They had been building a different story while I was living in a happy one. I looked toward Olivia's house again. The lights were still on. From outside, it looked peaceful. No one would guess that inside, two people were sitting together, talking about a love they were not supposed to have. And outside, in a parked car, sat the woman whose life they were quietly tearing apart. My first feeling had been shock, then sadness. Now, something else was growing. Clarity. They had made their choices. Now I had to make mine. I wiped my face with both hands and sat up straighter. My reflection in the rearview mirror surprised me. My eyes were red, my cheeks wet, but there was something new in my expression. I didn't look confused anymore. I looked awake. I could drive home right now. I could pretend I never came here. I could wait for Michael to return and act normal, hoping he would feel guilty enough to confess one day. But I knew I would never sleep peacefully again if I did that. Every smile would feel fake. Every touch would feel like a lie. No, I deserved the truth, not pieces of it, not excuses, not whispers behind a window. The full truth. I opened the car door slowly and stepped out. My legs still felt weak, but they held me up. The night air was cooler now. A soft breeze moved the leaves in the trees. The world felt quiet, like it was waiting. I closed the car door gently and looked at the house again. I had walked to that door many times before with joy, with laughter, with gifts in my hands. Tonight, I walked toward it with a broken heart and a heavy question that would change everything. Each step felt slow but sure. I was not sneaking anymore. I was not hiding. I reached the gate and pushed it open. The creaking sound felt louder than before, but I didn't stop. If they heard it, so be it. I walked up the path and stood in front of the door. For a moment, I just stared at it. On the other side of that door were the two people I loved most in this world. The two people who had just admitted they were in love with each other. My hand trembled as I lifted it. Then I knocked. The sound echoed in the quiet evening. Inside, I heard movement. Quick. Surprised. A chair scraped the floor. Footsteps. Then silence. I imagined them looking at each other with wide eyes. Who could be knocking at this time? I knocked again. Louder. "It's me," I said, my voice shaking but clear. "Open the door." There was a long pause. I could almost hear their breathing from inside. Finally, the lock clicked. The door opened slowly. Olivia stood there. Her eyes were red. Her face was pale. When she saw me, her mouth fell open like she had seen a ghost. "You," she whispered. Behind her, I could see Michael standing in the living room. His face drained of color the moment our eyes met. No one spoke. The silence between us felt heavy, full of all the words they had said when they thought I couldn't hear. I looked at my sister first, then at my husband. "I was outside," I said quietly, "by the window." Their faces changed at the same time, fear, guilt, and something like shame. "How long?" Michael asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Long enough," I replied. Olivia covered her mouth with her hand and started crying again. Michael took a step toward me. but I held up my hand. "Don't," I said. He stopped. For a moment, we just stood there, three people, connected by love, betrayal, and years of shared memories. I felt tears rise again, but my voice stayed steady. "I trusted you," I said. "Both of you." No one argued. No one denied it, because there was nothing left to hide. And standing there in the doorway of my sister's house, looking at the two people who had broken my heart, I knew that whatever happened next, my life would never be the same again. For a long time, none of us moved. The air between us felt thick, like even breathing was hard. Olivia was crying quietly, her shoulders shaking. Michael looked like he wanted to speak, but didn't know which words wouldn't make things worse. I felt tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. The kind that comes when your heart has carried too much pain at once. "I didn't come here to shout," I said softly. "I came because I needed to hear the truth from your mouths, not through a window." Michael swallowed. "We never meant to hurt you." I nodded slowly. "I know, but you did anyway." That was the hardest part. Not strangers, not enemies. The people who hurt me were the same ones who once made me feel safest. Olivia stepped forward, tears running down her face. "I am so sorry. I wish I could go back and stop the first moment it happened. But you didn't," I said gently. "You both kept choosing it." Silence filled the room again. No one could argue with that. I looked around the house, the couch we had all sat on together, the pictures on the wall, the place that once felt like a second home. Now it felt like a room full of memories that didn't belong to me anymore. "I can't stay in this," I said. "Not the lies. Not the pretending." Michael's eyes filled with tears. "Are you leaving me?" I took a deep breath. It felt like the biggest breath of my life. "I'm choosing myself," I said. For the first time in a long time. Those words surprised even me. But once I said them, I knew they were true. I turned to Olivia. "You're my sister. That will never change. But things between us will not be the same. Trust takes years to build and seconds to break." She nodded, crying harder. Then I looked at Michael. "I loved you with my whole heart. Maybe part of me always will. But love without honesty is not love I can live in." He closed his eyes, tears falling freely now. I walked toward the door, each step heavy but sure. No one tried to stop me this time. At the doorway, I paused and looked back at them one last time, two people standing close together, bound by a choice that had cost all of us something. "I hope one day you both learn that real love should never need secrets," I said. Then I stepped outside into the cool night air. The sky above me was wide and full of stars. My heart was broken, yes, but under the pain, there was also something new. Freedom. I didn't know what tomorrow would look like. I didn't know how long healing would take. But as I walked to my car, I knew one thing for sure. The truth had hurt me, but it had also set me free. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting revenge stories.